You know, blockchain technology and clean energy are everywhere nowadays. Why? Because people care. I want you to check out this new company called SOS Limited.
Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. Now, I need to get into something in this episode. I've been getting a lot of comments down in other videos begging me to have a look at SOS Limited. Now, to be honest, this is a company I hadn't even heard about. It was only through the comments that it even came to my attention. But when I see those suggestions, I do tend to take a look. And what I saw told me I definitely need to do a video on this company. Unfortunately, for many people, they're not going to like what I have to say. Having said that, I must remind everyone that this is my interpretation based on my findings, and I encourage all of you, whether you're invested in this company or not, to do your own research. You may come to a different conclusion than me, but you should at least be aware of what's out there, and more importantly, what's not out there. I've also received a lot of questions in the past about how I actually conduct my research. Where do I go? What are my sources? And honestly, my number one source is simply Google. The trick here is when you're looking for information, sure, go to the company's website, take apart everything that they have to give you, but you cannot stop there. Their website is not going to tell you what you need to be aware of in terms of risks. So from the information you find there, you must dig deeper. No matter what claim they make, try to verify it for yourself using alternate sources. If you're unable to find any alternate sources, that's a red flag. And in this research, there were a lot of red flags. So let's get into this. Now, as soon as the web page opens, the first thing that's really going to catch your eye is the website's pretty poor looking. This looks like it was made in the 90s. But obviously, that's certainly not enough to judge any company on. But it certainly does send off a few alarm bells. Company profile. SOS is a high-tech company with AI blockchain as the core technology. Headquartered in Qingdao, the company provides customers with rescue, big data, trade, digital asset management, and other information technology services through AI block technology plus satellite communication. It is currently listed on the New York Stock Exchange, the main board of the United States, with stock code SOS. So if that explanation doesn't clear it up, well, I don't know what will. You'll notice that they don't really get into a lot of detail about what it is that they do. They just throw out a lot of buzzwords. From that description, you still really don't have a whole lot of idea what it is this company does or how they make money. But speaking of how they make money, for that you would normally go to their quarterly or annual reports. But you'll notice from their annual reports, the last one was filed for 2019. And in that filing, their net revenue for all of 2019 was $37,655. This number isn't in thousands. That's straight dollars. So much for a groundbreaking company. Now, I want to be fair because many of the other Bitcoin mining companies also had previous business ventures which were not very profitable, often lost money, and were quite small. But obviously, they got into cryptocurrency mining quite some time ago and have all expanded at rapid rates, buying up all of the cryptocurrency mining rigs that are available on the market. But the point is, the underlying business that this company was engaged in, whatever that was, because their description certainly doesn't explain it very well. Basically, from what I could discern from the company's website, they run a call center where they sell insurance products that are these emergency rescue cards. Apparently, this is a product common in China as a form of health insurance or other products for automotive towing services, that sort of thing. So not exactly a great revenue generator, and certainly not something at the forefront of groundbreaking, disruptive technology. But hey, we're here to talk about mining, not whatever all that other stuff was. So how about their mining practices? Well, they don't have any yet, but I guess you could count the delivery they announced that they had just received on February 9th, where they announced that they had received 5,000 pieces of mining rigs ahead of schedule on February 9th, 2021, 5 days earlier than the delivery date set by the purchase agreement with the seller. The first batch of delivery is composed of a pool of 5,000 pieces of mining rigs, which can generate about BTC hash power 175 petahash and ETH hash power of 350 gigahash. If these machines operates as expected, the annual ROI, return on investment, is projected to be significant based on current crypto price momentum. The seller also confirmed that they have enough inventories of crypto mining rigs and they can fulfill the next 2 batches of shipments as scheduled. SOS chairman commented, "We have secured supply of crypto mining equipment that is expected to generate sufficient crypto hash power as to allow us to promptly capture the rising cryptocurrency price." Now, obviously, the terminology in these press releases are a little odd. You might have noticed this is simply because it's being translated from Chinese. So the English translation doesn't flow very well. Having said that, yet again, there's information included in this that you would need to confirm from any kind of a third party you might be able to find. The best third party for this would be the SEC, since purchase agreements and things of that nature are all filed through the SEC. Well, I wasn't able to find any such purchasing agreements filed with the SEC. But there were other press releases. The announcement of the purchase of all those mining rigs was actually announced on January 21st. We're talking just a few weeks earlier. That's some pretty impressive delivery timelines. SOS announced today that it has entered into a purchase agreement to procure 14,238 Bitcoin mining rigs with BTC hash power of approximately 527 petahash, as well as 1,408 ETH mining rigs with hash power of approximately 1,056 gigahash as part of SOS plan to execute its strategic plan of cloud cryptocurrency mining in pursuit of the rising cryptocurrency prices. So here we have only on January 21st that they've ordered these mining rigs. They never file any purchasing agreements with the SEC. This article does go on to report that the seller of these mining rigs was HY International Group New York, Inc. I decided to try to search for this company and found that this was a company who was incorporated in Panama but has offices in New York City. They have no website. They don't appear to have any services of any kind, yet somehow they happen to be sitting on 15,000 mining rigs. This in a time when nobody can buy mining rigs. Believe me, I've looked. You can't even buy video cards anymore. They're all being used to mine cryptocurrencies. There's a serious shortage going on right now. Yet somehow this company was able to step up and take delivery within 3 weeks of 15,000 units. But then they conveniently decide to omit any details that could actually be verified. So I also want to make it very clear, what I'm saying is not necessarily that everything they're saying is a lie. What I'm saying is there's risk associated with this. We've seen this happen before with Bit Digital, which I might add is trading just fine, by the way, despite the short seller report that came out with a lot of wild claims that it might all be a ruse. Bit Digital then did retaliate and challenged many of the points that that report made, but conveniently omitted anything to defend themselves against the allegations to do with the former CEO of the company, who is also the largest shareholder, who, if you may have forgotten, is sitting in prison for fraud. Unfortunately, these companies will continue to surface. You can make a lot of money in them, but understand that after the dust settles and all the hype starts to fade away and the tide runs out, that's when you'll find out which of these companies aren't wearing any shorts. Managing your risk is very important if you're going to invest in anything. And it worries me that there appears to be a lot of people promoting these companies. They clearly haven't done the research on them. Nobody can verify that any of what they're claiming is actually happening. But as you go through these press releases, more and more questions will begin to surface. On January 21st, they announced the purchase of all of these miners. Well, they've got to put these miners somewhere. So then what happens? On February 5th, just a couple of short weeks later, lo and behold, they've entered into a framework agreement with Libodong Hydropower Station in Hejiang, Lutso City, Sichuan, to secure cheap power and renewable electricity for its cloud crypto mining center. So this press release gets into all the details surrounding this hydroelectric facility where they've entered this agreement to supply their cryptocurrency mine with cheap electricity. There's just one problem. This hydroelectric power supplier, there's no information on them. As far as I can tell, they don't exist. The dam that they're supposedly using, I can't seem to find it. The river that it's on has no sign of any dam on it. At least not in the area that they describe. But let's just say I've missed all of that, and let's face it, I don't know China that well. So let's assume maybe all of that is true. There's another problem here. Building out cryptocurrency mines is not as simple as people realize. The facilities need to be specifically designed to be able to house these devices. They generate enormous amounts of heat. So these buildings need to be engineered to move that much air. Otherwise, all of these miners will fail by overheating. These facilities require enormous amounts of power. So they require a network of transformers and power distribution systems. All of these things take a great deal of time to build out. Yet somehow they're able to accomplish all of this in a matter of weeks. From miners that they were able to secure in a matter of weeks from a company no one's ever heard of that just happened to be sitting on tens of thousands of cryptocurrency miners. Now again, it is possible I'm misreading all of this, and there's a perfectly valid explanation for all of these points. They just somehow forgot to include them. The next thing I find, pasted all over StockTwits and multiple other sources, including Twitter, was that Kevin O'Leary has endorsed SOS. This is my favorite part. Here's Mr. Wonderful himself and his glowing endorsement of SOS Limited.
Hey everybody, Mr. Wonderful here. You know, blockchain technology and clean energy are everywhere nowadays. Why? Because people care. I want you to check out this new company called SOS Limited. SOS transforms digital technology into data-driven operations through research and development of big data and cloud computing. The amazing thing about SOS is they do a lot of this through hydroelectric energy plants. And you know the criticism going on about Bitcoin mining and using up so much energy. Well, look what they've done. And as you all know, I'm all about green energy, and I mean green. Looking into the future, SOS has developed a firewall system, a personal biological information storage system, and an antivirus system, all of which are based on blockchain and artificial intelligence. So I love disruptors. I love innovation. So keep your eyes on this company because they're going to be doing some really big things in 2021. Take care, my friends.
Well, there you have it. Mr. Wonderful himself officially endorsing SOS Limited. What more could you ask for? But remember, I said, whenever you hear something, you must be able to verify it. Obviously, that was him speaking. But what was the source of the video itself? Everywhere where I've seen this video uploaded, the source came from streamable.com, which is simply a video hosting service. So you would think if this is a position that Kevin O'Reilly truly felt, then you would be able to find some other instance of him saying it, perhaps on CNBC or some other financial news media. It doesn't exist. There are no other articles where he's quoted as endorsing SOS Limited. But you saw it. Right in the video. Why would he say something that he doesn't necessarily believe? Remember, this is Kevin O'Leary we're talking about. He's made his opinion on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin quite clear, and it doesn't align itself with what we just heard him say.
Try and do a transaction over $100,000 with Bitcoin. I tried to do some real estate in Switzerland with it once. It is a useless currency. It is a useless currency. That's what I believe. I mean, look, I'm not, I realize people have different opinions, but to me, it's garbage.
So what's the deal, Kevin? Which is it? This one didn't take me all that long to figure out, but in case you weren't aware, there is a service called Cameo. Cameo is a website where you can get shoutouts from various celebrities, where you can get them to say anything you want. You simply pay for the service, tell them exactly what you want them to say, and they'll say it on camera. Now, most of the celebrities that you see on there are typically ones you've never heard of, but Mr. Wonderful is there, and he charges $1,200. As far as I know, that could be a starting fee. It probably goes up depending on the length or the content that you would really like him to record. Here's a few examples.
Hey, everybody. Mr. Wonderful here from the back of a limo in New York City. Now, look, let me tell you something. It doesn't take a shark to know that WEPA is the leader in higher ed cloud services. Go see David, Troy, Philip, Daniel, and Raj at booth 230. And it's that time of year. Yes, the holiday lights are twinkling in the background, but I want to do a big shout out for Prunosa. I want to do a big shout out for Red Brick Real Estate Brokerage. Hi there, Mr. Wonderful here, and I want to do a really big shout out for Millcroft Lawn Care.
Now, I'm sure Millcroft Lawn Care is a fantastic company, and they fully deserve the endorsement of Mr. Wonderful, especially seeing as how they paid him to say that. But how do we know he'll say anything we ask him to? I wonder if we can get him to sing Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday from Mr. Wonderful. Your kids love you and so does your husband, and you look terrific.
Remember, don't believe everything you see or hear on the internet. You need to be able to verify the content. I don't care where you hear it. Always find a third party, an alternate source, and then compare. If things don't line up, these are red flags. These are signals telling you something's wrong here, something's missing. Manage your risk, and do not take anything any of these companies have to say at face value. The benefit of the companies who are operating in North America is that many of these things you can self-verify. And the transparency in the documents that they submit to the SEC also make all of this pretty clear. If they haven't disclosed any of their agreements, then what is it that they're hiding? I'm not saying any of this so that I can benefit. I'm not a short seller. I never short companies. So I in no way benefit by this company going up or down. All I'm trying to do is to educate the people investing in this space who, let's face it, many are first-time investors. And all the terminology and technology in this space is confusing enough as it is, without adding to it the need to be able to identify bad actors. Because this is not the first, and it certainly will not be the last. There are so many good opportunities in this space, you don't need to subject yourself to this kind of added volatility. The long-term risk on a company like this is potentially fatal to your portfolio. But in the short term, as we can see, they can still perform extremely well. Because the reality is, most people are not buying it after researching them thoroughly. They're only buying it because, well, somebody told them to, or they saw the price go up. No doubt, there are a lot of people that are going to hate everything I've just said, and you can call me someone who's just spreading FUD, and that's okay. I'm only here to tell you what it is I see. In the end, it's your money, and you need to be able to make these decisions for yourself. But you can pretty much guarantee there are short seller firms out there who will target this company. They will dig quite a bit deeper than I really have the time or energy to spend, and they'll draft up an extensive report, take up their short sell position, publish their report, which will instantly be followed by multiple law firms announcing their class action lawsuits. This will play out exactly by that script. And yet, following that, it will again continue to rally. But if you're going to ask me,
I wish you the best of luck, but I'm out.
that's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.